attack President Trump over his response to the coronavirus. You know that. But they were guilty of doing the same thing. Watch.
There is no reason to panic.
Come to Chinatown. Here we are. We're, again, careful, safe, and come join us.
It's not a time to panic about coronavirus, but coronavirus is a serious public health challenge.
We don't even think it's going to be as bad as it was in other countries.
Half of the people in America do not get a flu shot, and the flu right now is far deadlier. So if you're freaked out at all about the coronavirus, you should be more concerned about the flu.
For the vast majority of New Yorkers, life is going on pretty normally right now, and we want to encourage that.
Let's bring in our panel. Wendy Osefo is a Johns Hopkins University professor. Rob Smith is an Iraq War veteran and a Trump Pride Advisory Board member. It's really great to have you both. Wendy, when you take that trip down memory lane of all those comments, I mean, is it fair to say that there was just a lot of confusion? We know a lot more now than we did then. There are certainly things that could have been done better, but can we all try to start rowing in the same direction going forward?
I think that there was some confusion, but I think the difference is, Donald Trump is the president of the United States. There is a different level of power that comes from his office. There's a different level of trust that should come out of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. So while we are able to look at Democrats who may have said, that this may not be serious, the difference is Trump came and he said that he knew it was serious. But then when he spoke to the public, he then said, this is something that will change when it gets warmer outside. And I think that's the difference. The difference is we have audio tapes where he knew the level of seriousness, so there wasn't any confusion on his end. But when it was time for him to speak to the public, the American people, he lied to us. And that's borderline criminal. And I believe that that is the differentiating factor between him and Democrats, is he knowingly lied to the American people.
Rob, great to have you on the show for your first time. Thank you so much for being with us. I'm sure you see it very differently. Do you think that the president has an ability to sort of mute all the controversy about this book by showing that there were his opponents saying similar things back early February, early March?
Well, you know what I think he did? I think he does, and he also has a real opportunity for all of us to look back to what Democrat leaders were actually doing during the early days of the coronavirus. A lot of people like to place the blame at the buck of the president, but when you look at New York City, which is the epicenter of the coronavirus pandemic, you had people playing impeachment games on Capitol Hill. You had the New York City ex-head of the Department of Health telling people to go ahead and go down to a get-together in Chinatown. You had Mayor de Blasio telling people to go to movie theaters. You had Governor Cuomo with that awful decision to move the COVID-infected patients back into nursing homes. So you have a lot of very poor decisions that were made by Democrats in charge and in power that cost a lot of people lives in these cities that were coronavirus epicenters.
Wendy, as the coronavirus continues to be a big issue, and it is, and I think we just passed 190,000 Americans that have died from the disease. If there is, though, light at the end of the tunnel, if we do see the cases starting to go down, a vaccine looks promising, the economy looks a little better, do you think that Biden has to figure out a different way to try to attack President Trump? I'll give you the final word.
Absolutely not, because, if Biden is coming in to talk about why he should be the commander in chief, then he's able to use how Trump mishandled this pandemic as definitely a political platform here. What we know is 190,000 Americans have lost their lives, and to use their lives as political football is just beyond the pale. Whether you're a Democrat or Republican, you deserve to live in this country and be protected from any outward threats. And so that's what we have to keep in mind here as Americans.
All right. And President Trump is doing a press conference at 3 o'clock, so no doubt he'll talk about this a little bit more. Wendy, Rob, thank you so much. Good to have you, and I'll have you back soon.